Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to do the second part of lesson 4. So we did decimals as fractions, and now we're going to do fractions as decimals. So remember when I told you guys that you need to make sure you got division down? This is one of the reasons why we do division, long division, and not any of those tricks that we do. Because if we need to express fractions as decimals, we're going to divide. So one of the things that you're going to see even when you go to Tippett Middle School, we try to mirror a lot of things that the middle school teachers are doing so that you're familiar with the language for next year. So we're going to express 9/12 as a decimal. And there are two ways you can do it, but in my opinion, the easiest way is to just divide. I feel like the other way is confusing, so this is the way that I want to show you guys, and this is the way how I want you to find expressing fractions as a decimal. So you're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. And we use the acronym TIBO, and your middle school teachers will do the same thing. So TIBO is just an acronym for us to remember that it's going to be top in, bottom out. And what that means is the top number, which is your numerator, will be in, and then the 12, which is your denominator, will be out. So basically it looks like this. So whenever you're dividing, top in, right? So if it's top in, then your 9 goes in. Bottom out, so your 12 is your divisor. Okay, so that's how you're going to remember to divide. Now, this is something new. I showed a couple of you, I think, how to do this, but this is a new way for dividing when you're using decimals. One of our goals when you're dividing is that you don't want to have a denominator. Now we're going to learn more about that later when we talk about terminating decimals and repeating decimals, and that's coming up. But this, I just want to show you how you can express a fraction as a decimal. So I'm going to ask myself, how many groups of 12 are in the number 9? Well, I know that I can't have any. There are not enough, right? One of the reasons why I know that is because 9/12 is a fraction, and this fraction is less than the number 1. So I know my decimal is going to be a decimal that's less than 1. So when I can't do that, when I don't have any groups of 12 inside of the number 9, I'm going to add a 0 here, and then I'm going to add a decimal right after my whole number 9, and then I'm going to add a 0. This decimal is going to follow and go here. Now I'm going to ask myself, how many groups of 12 are in 90? Okay, now I'm using 90, but really it's not really 90. I just have this 0 as a placeholder to help me find this number as a decimal. So how many groups of 12 are in 90 without going over? Well, I know that 12 times 7 equals 84. So when I subtract here, I'm left with 6. Okay, now my goal is to always have a denominator of 0. Okay, so I'm going to do that same process again. I'm going to add a 0 behind here, and then I'm going to bring this 0 down. Now, even though I'm adding these zeros, it does not change the value of this number. This is still 9. I'm just adding these zeros to help me with the division process so I can find out what my find out what my fraction is as a decimal. So again, these zeros don't change the value. This is still 9. Okay, I'm just looking in these decimal places to help. So now I'm going to ask the same question. How many groups of 12 are in 60? Well, 12 times what number is 60? 5. 12 times 5 is 60. I subtract and I get 0. So my goal is to always have 0. In the next lesson, you're going to learn about repeating decimals, terminating decimals. But right now, in this lesson, you're going to have your remainder will be 0. So 9/12 as a decimal is 74. 500ths, okay? So I can do another one for you guys if you want more practice. I can post another video, but then I want you guys to do some on your own.